Hello, my name is Ben Schultz. I'm a marketing manager with Aquamembranes, and today we're at the New Mexico Water Workshop. If you didn't know, here in New Mexico, Aquamembranes has our original base location where we manufacture many of our products. But today at the New Mexico Water Workshop, I'm going to be interviewing Alfredo Rodriguez. He's an environmental engineer with CDM Smith. And we're going to talk about some of the projects he's worked on here in New Mexico, part of his background, and here's some of the things he thinks are important in the water industry. Hi, and welcome back today. Like I said in the intro, we have Alfredo Rodriguez. How do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Alfredo Rodriguez. I'm an environmental engineer and I work in water. I was trained in 4 different countries. I studied in Mexico, my undergrad, and then I studied abroad in Colombia and the UK, doing some research work. And then I did grad school here in the US, and this is where I'm working right now.
Nice. And yeah, you've done a lot of work, not even just in, it's not, water's a big space obviously, but you've worked in like process, it seems. And then you worked as a news anchor for a while?
Yeah, so it was an interesting journey how I ended up here. So I started doing a little bit of like industrial wastewater work when I was an undergrad. I also did a little bit of water quality and like solid waste. It was an interesting journey through environmental engineering. It wasn't until I completed my undergraduate studies that I realized that water was the area where I wanted to really focus on. And then just bringing the international aspect of myself that I was telling you earlier about, it's really connecting well with water because I realized that everybody needs water to drink, right? And it was a pretty universal topic to study, to further develop, and then to use my skills in.
Nice. Yeah, and it's totally true that coming from a diverse background or seeing diverse backgrounds is super important to being able to solve problems. Speaking to that, being in different places, what is something that you've seen across the board? Do people underappreciate where their water comes from, or what is an aspect of the water industry that is across the board?
Yeah, so I think understanding the value of water is not happening at the same rhythm or even style or conditions. Even myself, like I grew up in Mexico in a community where we didn't have a lot of water resources. And I remember growing up, I just knew that some days I would open the tap and no water was gonna come out of it. So I learned early on the value of water. Like we would store it in like buckets and stuff. I grew up in a very dry environment too. So all of these aspects contributed, right, to me being aware and traveling around the world, if you will. Really led me to understand that not everybody's going through the same experience, right? So therefore, we appreciate water in different styles, I would say. One thing though that I found very important or like common everywhere is the value of communicating and connecting this to my little background in journalism and in news. No matter where you go and no matter which area of water you work on, communicating is such a valuable skill. I'm an engineer, like I said, but I try not to just do my designs and do my hydraulic modeling. I really care for communicating that to my clients or communicating that to the public or even agreeing to doing this interview with you, right? That's gonna go somewhere and like it's gonna send a message out there. So that's one important thing I believe is common. It's like a common thing for everybody.
100%, yeah. And if you haven't, check out his LinkedIn page. He's got some really cool stuff. And he talks about there is a lot of communication. I learn about what's going on in my community and my state from the stuff that you post.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think, and I'm obviously trying to communicate. I'm doing that through these videos. So totally agree with you. And then now with CDM Smith in your current work, what is some of the stuff that you focus on? Any aspects that you think are important up and coming?
Yeah, so I do a lot of planning. I would say that in consulting, you can generally find engineering projects, whether in the planning stage, in the design, or in construction. Right? Everything is happening right now. These days, I do a lot of planning. I look into the future, 10, 20, 50 years into the future, and I develop hydraulic models that are useful to simulate current conditions, also to build future conditions on top of that existing baseline. So with that, we can understand better what future demands are going to be or what future wastewater flows are going to be like, and then help utilities prepare for that. So I do a lot of master planning and hydraulic modeling for purposes that are looking into the future.
And how does that go into with what we're seeing in the Southwest with the added industry, from data centers, from semiconductor manufacturing. There's just increased water demand and there seems to be less resource available. What do you see as potential solutions to help us improve our water resource management?
I think as engineers and overall water professionals, we really care about treatment. We really want to prevent pollution and environmental impacts. But further than that, I think reuse is a big thing now. It's probably going to be a lot more about treating water so that we can just reuse it, so that we don't have to go in the traditional cycle of releasing it and then taking it from somewhere else. Reuse is a huge thing, especially in the Southwest, and with that, it comes a lot of new regulations. We really need a good framework for that. We need to be able to understand and apply it in our projects, and also developing technologies and processes so that utilities or industries are able to reuse the water on site, and then with that, be more efficient with using water.
No, that's great. And I think it's important to plan for that, and it's a topic that everyone's looking forward to and going forward in the future. Thanks for taking the interview today. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And if you, I'll link his LinkedIn profile. And then if you have any more questions, I'm sure you can reach out to him there.
Yeah. I also wanted to say that working as a consultant has been an amazing experience, but incorporating my professional associations and involvement with that is what makes it unique and exciting, even more exciting. So I'm involved in a lot of young professionals and technical committees. I volunteer with AWWA, with WEF. I do it in the local, like the state level, regional, national, and international. So anywhere you have an interest in learning about how to be more involved, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect you with an opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's super important. I've gotten involved in some of the young professionals, just meeting people, really. Being not from an engineer background or coming into the water industry, it's always great to have people to reach out to, and he's a great resource. He does a lot of awesome stuff with it.
Thank you.
Yeah,